Alright, hello guys, welcome to yet another tutorial of phprad. And so in this one we want to build something real fast, something real quick. So we want to build something, a complaint system. We want just to make a complaint system with phprad, something very simple. So let's create a database and call it complaints. So by the end of this one, I hope everybody will be able to build something simple with phprad, or bigger. It doesn't really matter. So let's go ahead and just change this. You can enable multi-language if you want to build more, and let's create this. Alright, so there we go. So now let's go ahead and create a table. I always start with users table. Call this name, email, password. You can also do a role. Doesn't and then maybe you can do a photo. Now let's go ahead and create a table called complaints. Now under complaints, we need to have the headline, we need to have the message itself, we will also need to have the date of the complaint, and we have to have the sender, then we need to have the status. Okay, now we can have a comments table that we are going to bind. So we are going to bind the comments to complaints. So for that to happen, we are going to have the complaint ID. Just need to go have the complaint ID, right? Alright. Alright, let me just put this like that, and we have the date and we have the comment, and we also have the sender. You can have the sender ID and the sender name. Alright, so I feel like that is everything we might need. Now also we can have a reply to that comment. So let's just first create that. So this is just basic PHP. We are not going to be using too much customizations. So we have the complaints table, we have the comments table, and we have the users table. Right? Let's go ahead and create two users. We're going to create the admin, and we're also going to create a normal user. Alright, so there we go. Now let's create users. Now one thing I like to do is have all my stuff looking similar. So I don't want these gaps here that looks white and this one looks a little bit dark pink, or it's a little bit pinkish. I don't know, I might be colorblind, but just go ahead and just remove this, and we want to give everything the same color. Okay, just going to do body input. Also need to add the card there, text area, section, then you're going to add a class of PG Light. Then I also want to remove those labels, so I need to remove the labels that appear there. By labels I mean I need to get rid of these labels here. These labels, as you can see, our page looks okay everywhere. So just need to remove those labels, and just come here, go to the add page of the comment, vertical no label, go to complaints and do a vertical no label. For users, we might need it. So whenever we open a table like complaints and we do this, as you can see, we don't have the labels anymore. So let's go to users and let's create a few users real quick. For this, you can actually do it as a lookup table or a dependent lookup table, but for this I'm just doing this casually because we just need 2 users real quick. Let's try and add a picture, any picture. What is missing? Alright, so we have 1 user. Let's make another user. Great, so we have 2 users. Let's go ahead and make an authentication for us. We are going to use the users table. For the password, we have that. ID, we have that. Email, we have that. And the profile photo, we have that. We're going to say OK. And there we go. So we have our users authenticated. Okay, so we are going to log in as admin. Then you're going to preview this in our browser. And we are going to log in as a user from this panel. Okay, let's wait as it logs in. So now let's go ahead and open our complaints. Okay, now as you can see, whenever we click on add a new complaint, it looks something close to this. So we want this to be aligned at the center here. Let's go ahead to page design, and you're going to navigate all the way down to complaints, add. You're going to make this a container fluid, and you're going to align it, justify content center. When we reload this, we are going to have that. Alright, now as you can see here, we have the sender, we have the status, and we have the date. So we don't want this to be visible, but we also want them to enter that date automatically. We also want them to capture the name of the sender automatically without them having to add their details. Let's go ahead to add page. under message, you're going to make this a text area so that it fits the whole screen. Under the date, we are going to hide this, but before we hide it, let's go ahead and select the default date. Okay, so we are going to select daytime now. Okay, under the sender, we are going to do this. We are going to come and pick daytime. So this is a project that assumes the sender is registered to the application already, so it's not a random sender. So we're going to pick for the sender, we're not going to do that. Let's just put it into a text, and the default value we are going to use user ID or the username. And how you do that, we have our helpers here. You can actually go through all those helpers. So we have the username, right? You can copy that, copy, and here is how you add it. You just put 2 dashes there, then you're going to paste it and add 2 dashes there. Under the status, we can select, we can add our own. We're going to say active and complete. So we have those two, and now let's go ahead and see what we have. Right, so we have our headline there, we have our message, and it automatically captured our date here. Also captured the name of our sender, and we also have this. Now let's go ahead and hide these two because we don't need them. So let's go ahead to date. You're going to go all the way down and set that to hidden. Then you're going to set required to true, because if you going to set it to false, because if you leave it at true, it's going to hide that field, and it's also going to tell you that that field is required. So keep it as to not required. Now for the status, let's change this to set status. That's our placeholder there. Awesome, so we have that. Now let's try and add something. Also, we can hide the status only to be viewed by the admin, but for now let's leave it at that. Now we can leave this at that. We can also change the date format. For this, you go to list, then you're going to go to date, then you're going to format the field. You can do a human date time. So for the human date time, we are going to view our date like this, and yeah, we need that. Also, we can have a relative date, which is going to show us something like this. So we are going to see something like that for the relative date. Okay, now for the reports, we don't need this to look like this. We need it to be in grid form. So we're going to change this from tabular to grid form. How I like to do it is I do empty gutters. You can also do a card small. Then the inline display label, we are going to set that to none. So this is how our app is going to look like. That's what it's going to look like. But to do this, we go back here and we are going to remove inline edit, set it to false, then instead of icons we are going to use a drop down, and you're going to set it in front. So we want the actions to appear in front. Okay, now remove the BG light and only leave cards more. Okay, so to view this, we just click there and we have that. Now the card, we put card as a BG light. We might need to reconsider that and have it like that. Go to pages and we are going to remove the ID there, and let's preview our application. Awesome, so there you go, we have that. Okay, now we can also go ahead and do something like this. Now we have the complaint, we have the comment, and we have the user. So we want comments to be binded to complaints. Okay, what I mean is, whenever I click on view here, whenever I click on view, I will be able to see comments right below here. Now how do we do this? We're just going to design the view page of our list, and we are going to set that to custom. Set it to custom. We don't want it to be in table view. Then we are going to set these buttons to false. False. Now what is that going to do to our application? Let's go ahead and see that. So this is how our application will be looking like. Alright, so we have this, we have this, we have this, but we don't want that. We only need to see the message. Okay, let's go ahead and do a page view. We don't need the sender, we don't need the status, we don't need that. We just need the message. Alright, so there we go. Go ahead, let's go back and put our card here. All right, there we go. Now let's go back here. And now what we need to do is bind that. Now let's go and design the complaint view page. Set this page to contain a fluid, and we are going to set this to column D12. Alright, so it's fitting the whole screen. Now right below here we need to have the comments. Let's go ahead and we want to style our comments. So under the list page of our comments, we need to come here and you're going to change this from tabular list to column, okay, to grid. Then in the inline edit, we are going to set it to false. We don't need the ID, we don't need the complete ID, we just, we need the date, we need the sender, and we need the name. So the sender ID, we won't be needing it for now. Alright, now let's go ahead to comments on the ad page. We need to do sender name, right, and the sender ID in the comment. Alright, so what we need to do here at the comments page, we just need to go ahead and click on the sender ID, and under the sender ID we are going to do this, and as we did in the previous table, we are going to hide it, and now we are going to use the helper user ID. So we need to capture the user ID. Remember, 2 dashes, paste it, add 2 dashes at the end, set this to false. Username, as we did before, we are going to set this to hidden, required false, 2 dashes. Now for this case it's going to be name. Required, set it to false. The date, we are going to set it to hidden, and the default value is going to be daytime now, false. Under the list page, we need to set the date into a format of relative date. Alright, now we are going to change this from icons to that, and you're going to actually put it in front. Now let's go ahead to complete page view. So this is where we need to do our custom code. This is how we need to bind our page. Let's just go ahead and delete that. Create a new section right below here, make it container fluid. Now under this, we need to come here and add the comment add. Just drag and drop it there. Our column goes to 12. That is the final for the page, so you need to divide it in a way that is going to fit everything. So make a new column here. You're going to do a column D8 because 8 plus 4 is equals to 12. Under the list page, let's go ahead and add it there. Now for the comments, this is how we are going to bind it. Let's go ahead and bind this. So we're going to bind complete ID to our complaints table. So you bind it by coming down here and doing data ID. We need to bind it using the data ID. Now the sender name here, we are not going to be binding it because we are going to be having the one who is sending it as a comment. All right, so let's say okay. Now the date is already catered for. All right, so we have that. Going to set it to okay. Now under the comments, we need to view comments that are related to only that page, and we're going to filter by the complete ID, where we are going to be having the data ID of that page. You can also order by complete ID. Now we might need to do this to 10. We don't need to show the header, we don't need to show the footer, but we might need to show the pagination. Now let's go ahead and try and add a comment. Okay, so the comment ID is that. Now add the comments, let's go to add page. We need this to be a text area. For the complete ID, we need to hide it. All right, good, and say this is nice. We'll look into it. Alright, now as you can see, it redirected us to comments page list, but we don't want that. We want it to appear just here. We need it to appear just here. We need it to appear here without having to keep on appearing on the page list. So this is what we are going to do. Go to complaints, go to view page. You're going to set this to an ajax page. Alright, now let's go back and try and add a new comment and say test. When you click on submit, it's going to appear there automatically without having to keep on going back to report page. Nice, so there we go. Now how do we know that this is working for everything, that we don't see these comments in a new complaint? Let's go ahead and try and add a new complaint here and say alright, now let's go to complaint 2 and view this. As you can see, complaint 2 has no records yet because we filtered correctly. Awesome. So there we go. We have this working, and we also have this working. So it's pretty easy working with phprad. Funny how we built this in that minute so far. So how try and imagine how you would build something with 1 hour. That basically means you'll be working with bigger projects with phprad, of which is very easy to understand. Once you know how to work with the IDs, you are good to go. Now something else we might need to do is reply to a comment. It's just basically how we link these. Alright, so it's just basically how we link that. Now let's do a filter, right? So for a filter, we might need to come to complaints here. Let's go to complaints, and we just need to go to complaint list. Okay, so we have the search here, and we have this. So one thing we might need to do is create a new column right there. Set this column to 12. And we can do a drop down here. You're going to select the field you want to filter with. So we want to filter with status. We only want to see the ones that are active, right? So we are going to use active. And complete. So we have that, but we might need to change this to something like 4. Let's go to complaints. So for this, we are going to filter this with the ones that are active, and filter that. So we're only going to see the ones that are active. What if we filter with complete? Alright, oh no, this is not working well. We don't need a drop down, we need a select field. Okay, we are going to use the status. We are going to come and say active complete. Great, sorry about that. So we have that. Now let's go ahead and preview this. Let's filter with active. Great, so we have that working well. Let's filter with complete. Let's just remove that. Let's filter with complete. So there we go, we don't have any complete tasks, so it's just filtering in everything that we have been working on. Now in case you want to filter this, to make it a multi-filter, this is how you're going to go about it. Go to page design, right close to this, let's do a date field. Alright, let's do a date field, and we are going to do this. Complaints, we are going to use a date. You can do it into a single, you can do it to multiple or range. Alright, let's use range. So we want it to capture from this date to this date. Okay, so we are using daytime relative date, but we are going to change that in the list page. Set this to human daytime. Alright, so there we go. Now we need to filter from 11th October and 11th October, so we only have that date. Now we're going to filter any task that is complete on this date. Now login as user, Alright, so let's go to complaint and let's try and filter this. We want to filter any that is active here. Let it complete loading, and the daytime. Alright, for the date is not pretty much working, but oh yeah, we don't have anything to actually go with there. Alright, for some reason the date is not showing. I don't know why. People can be pretty noisy here. Alright, for some reason the date is not working. I don't know why, but to save on time, that's generally how we are going to do it. To save on time, try it for your end, it will work. I'm pretty sure about that. I don't know why it happened here, but let's just leave it for now. But this is how you do it. Try it on your end also, you have it working. So once we filter that, it's pretty much working. Now in case we edit this from active to complete, we should be able to filter this with complete. So there we go, we have one complete, and generally that's how you build your application in under 35 minutes with phprad. So in case you need to link pages, you use data binding, and you can filter that perfectly with this tutorial. So thank you guys for watching. In case you need to view more videos, kindly subscribe, and in case you have any problems, leave a message in the chat, in the comment section. I'll also be able to reply to your comment. So that will be it for this video guys, and see you in the next one.